Hi, this is Billie Beene here with another World News Update, episode 68. Today's date, October 8, 2023. This is my second update. Some of the things we'll be covering. Blonde Hamas. Israel plans to nuke Gaza and Iran. U.S. warships to the Middle East. And U.S. Doomsday Planes up over the U.S. this afternoon. We can believe a war is upon us, a line from the Lord of the Rings movies. Some of my sources are God in the Bible Patriot subscriber, A Christoferou, Alexander Mercouris, Gene Decode, Canadian Prepper, Hal Turner, Israeli News Live, Stephen Benoon. So let's get started. Okay, we now have multiple sources confirming both outside Israel and inside Israel, coming from the inside the Israeli military, that there were stand-down orders, just like we the people saw in the U.S. when the Maui attack was going on. So we have Israel, Palestine, this is Gaza, the West Bank, and we know Palestine is composed of two parts, Gaza and the West Bank. We have Syria, we have Lebanon, we have Afghanistan, Iran, Iraq, Jordan, going on. So, we have this. A Christoferou is bringing this out about an agreement between Israel and Saudi Arabia. And we know that Saudi Arabia and both Iran are have asked to join BRICS, which is the new economic system not using the US dollar. But Alex is reporting the US had negotiated an agreement between Israel and Saudi Arabia. And it was a three-way deal for Saudi Arabia to recognize Israel, and also for the U.S. then to give Saudi Arabia nukes and weapons and technology. And in exchange, Saudi Arabia would also increase their oil production for the 2023-2024 election cycle. So that's going on. Now, A Christoferou brought out a good point that the deep state could not get the people of the world united against a Russia-Ukraine war. So they went ahead. This was supposed to be, according to Stephen Benoon, the last attack by the deep state to bring about World War III. But because the peoples of the world would not get behind and back the Russia-Ukraine war and get involved, the deep state stepped up their plan and perpetrated this attack up on Israel with the help and agreement and facilitating inside Israel by Benjamin Netanyahu, a deep state avatar, and certain top positions of the Israeli military. And that was all generated, according to A Christoferou's analysis, to then unite the world, because we know there are tens of millions, maybe billions of Christians around the earth who support Israel. But this was all a set up, and it's certainly coming out. And now we have this from Alexander Mercouris, it's being confirmed that Israel, the Israeli IDF, the military, and the government gave stand-down orders. And that Benjamin Netanyahu says this will be a long war. It's to involve multiple nations, all controlled and set up by the deep state. So that's going on. And now we have this. Insider information that Stephen Beene with Israeli News Live receives. Stephen is Jewish background. He also reads Hebrew and speaks it. And was formerly with the CIA, now has a ministry, but regularly gets updates from the Pentagon, and asked for cooperation from his subscribers this morning to help locate the videos he had put out with his intel about a coming attack in the Middle East to lead to World War III. And he has I'll link his video, and inside it is the video he also put out 10 months ago with this information. Benjamin Netanyahu has made a formal declaration of war, and it's the attack was the most coordinated that's ever happened inside Israel and involved paragliders, paratroopers. And it is confirmed that the Israeli military had received stand-down orders and did not respond to an invasion in its borders, attacks upon civilians, and on its own military bases. And there's proof coming out that this was a set-up by the deep state, facilitated by the Israeli shadow government and the Israeli shadow military. Now, Stephen Beene actually interviewed inside Israel a former military, Israeli military officer who had served in the brigade that was actually captured this morning. And multiple Israeli military, both active and retired, are all coming out and saying this was a setup. There's no way that the defense system of Israel could be breached except from collusion from within its gates. Benjamin Netanyahu knows it was a staged attack and he approved the sacrifice of both Israeli citizens and tourists who were visiting Israel, and he approved the attack upon the Israeli military located at the borders. Stephen describes it as a sacrifice on the altar of war. Benjamin Netanyahu aided and abetted, facilitated this sacrifice in blood of his own citizens, not his, but I no longer believe that Benjamin Netanyahu, I believe he's now, as Jesus said, you say you're a Jew, but you are not. And world leaders also representing the deep state, like Nikki Haley, has come out on TV in America to whip up American support for this attack on Israel. Nikki, shut up. The American people, 80% of us, are awake. We understand that we have treachery inside our own government, inside our own military, as do the people in Israel. Now, look who comes out to whip up a war fever for this attack on Israel, and you'll be able to identify who is aligned with the deep state. Yeah, well, Stephen calls Israel, he said, the most corrupt government in the world. I submit the U.S. is right up there. We remember Pearl Harbor, the assassination of President Kennedy, 9/11, and Vietnam, all set up by individuals within our own government and military. Stephen says, based on his insider information, the stand-down order was given. Hamas actually came across the border at 4 a.m., not 6:30 a.m., as reported. Now, Hal Turner's intel was that as soon as this happened, the mainstream media on a global basis began to put out massive amounts of propaganda. And when the attack on Israel occurred, there was no IDF response. Rockets were going over the border into Israel. No Israeli military response. Yeah, with bombs coming over. Now, it's also coming out from Stephen Beene that months before this attack, the people along the border inside Israel were disarmed, and also military support was removed. They put Israeli defense operations in place, but took away all their weapons. We see another part of the setup for this attack. Take the guns away from both the people, the military, and the police, civil defense. So that went on. Yeah. Stephen, months before they disarmed the people, but now a majority of the Israeli people are awake, as we, the people in America, are also. And it was a staged event, according to the intel information that Stephen's receiving. Now, this is coming out. In 2018, Ron Paul, he was a Republican from Texas, and also the Times of Israel also reported this, that Hamas was created by Israel. That would be the shadow part of the government, the shadow part of the military. So that's going on. Yep. And and also brings out, Stephen also brings out this fact. I had recently put out information during the course of this Russia-Ukraine war that in 2014, Victoria Nuland, part of the shadow U.S. State Department, and others had gone to Ukraine to overthrow the democratically elected government and put in place Z, the actor puppet avatar for the deep state. Now, this is coming out, and I remember this in the past. The U.S. also overthrew the government of Iran and put in place Khomeini. That's who is in Iran right now, bringing out Iran, attacking Israel. I submit to you, Iran is also a deep state puppet, and it is not the people of Iran, but it is the shadow part of their government and their military. And Stephen brings this out. Hamas also attacked Merkava tanks inside Israel with drones and killed Israeli soldiers. Citizens were unarmed, and this is reported that many of the Hamas are blonde, light skin, blue eyes. They have military haircuts. Hal Turner is also documenting that inside Israel, they are finding dead and wounded Americans. We have yet to substantiate or tie to the U.S. shadow military. But this could be something that's going on. Yeah. And now we have this information from Hal Turner. That, yeah, we have, okay. So we have Hezbollah in Lebanon, so LEB, backed by Iran. And as I brought out that information, this is actually part of the deep state. Khomeini was put in place by the shadow U.S. government. So they are attacking here, and they were able to take out 3 of the Israeli radar units. Israel is replacing those units with mobile units. And Hal Turner is confirming Americans are confirmed dead and wounded and kidnapped inside Israel. And the mainstream media is putting out a flood of propaganda. Oh, side with Israel, and, you know, we have to commit the lives of our blood of our sons and daughters to protecting Israel. Shut up. This was all a setup. The 80% of the American people who are awake are not going to buy this. No one on earth believes that Mossad and the Israeli military intel and their surveillance and communication devices failed to know that this attack was going to take place, and certainly not when it did take place. No one on earth is buying this. And now we have this from Hal Turner. 1 week ago, Ukraine attacked the Russian Wagner PMC group in Sudan. And Ukraine was identified because they had on Ukraine uniforms and carried Ukraine military IDs. Mossad, the intel arm of Israel, has sabotaged, burned, and blown up inside Iran drone factories that were producing drones that Russia was using. Do we not see now the multiple layers going on here? This is to say Mossad sabotaged these factories inside Iran, but now we know Iran was set up by the shadow U.S. government. Folks, this is all a show. Every part of it orchestrated by the deep state. Why? To get billions of American citizens, millions of American citizens and billions of citizens around the globe to sacrifice on the altar of war the blood of their sons and daughters. No, it's not going to work. Okay, Stephen is also reporting plane loads of Israeli weapons were sent to Azerbaijan, and Azerbaijan had a military action against Armenia that was backed by Russia. And then they grabbed forced 100,000 Armenians to flee from the area where they had been living. It's another land grab, just like we saw in Maui. Now, inside Israel, it's being said this is payback by Russia, this attack on Israel by Hamas is payback by Russia for Israel helping Ukraine and Israel helping Azerbaijan and Israel blowing up factories inside Iran. Yeah, okay. Now we know Iran is a proxy government for the shadow U.S. government. Russia could not be perpetrating these attacks for payback when these attacks are being put forth by the deep state, facilitated with aid by Israel and by the shadow U.S. government. So let's be clear. Let's get our ducks in a row and name our ducks appropriately, accurately. Yeah. And Stephen putting this out. He confirms that Israel today, October 8th, this morning, their government declared Article 40A. That's to take Israel to war, the first time since the 1973 war. Israel now is putting and will, within the next 24 hours, begin a ground invasion and go door to door inside Palestine. Well, we'll see. Pundits are saying no, they'll just do a half-hearted attack, make the world believe that, you know, yeah, I could do that. So this is coming forth. This is Hal Turner's info. So there's 2.3 million people inside Palestine, and half are men. I submit to you, this should be a marker for anyone who knows about population demographics. You don't have 50% of a population being men. This is set up by multiple shadow governments, and Hal says if all of these men invaded Israel, Israel would be overcome. And now, Stephen, Hal Turner's info is that Israel considers, they plan, and I submit this is very likely, to use a nuke, tactical, a small one, on Gaza, and also a strategic nuke, that's a large one, on Iran. So the shadow government inside Israel is actively putting plans together for this, historically called the Samson option. And now we have this. So we have Hezbollah coming in here, but we also have from Iran, they are sending military generals and troops to Lebanon to also come in this way. So we see Iran is setting up to participate in an invasion of Israel. So that's going on. And now we have Israeli bombers over Lebanon today, this morning, as far deeply into Lebanon as Kursavan. We have the Taliban wanting to take Jerusalem. That's they want to get involved, and the Taliban were armed with all the equipment and weapons left by the U.S. So we see another step in the setup for this event. Now, we have this. The Taliban yesterday made this public statement that they would come in and take Jerusalem, and they were asking Iran, Iraq, and Jordan to be able to pass through their land to go into Israel. Iran said, okay, according to Hal Turner's intel. Iraq has given no response, and Jordan said absolutely no. So that's going on. And now we have this. There's currently fighting going on along the border cities. The attack has not abated. All day long today, Hamas has been putting bombs into Israel and continued to attack along the border, while the IDF, the Israeli military, is coordinating, organizing, getting ready, but not responding to an attack upon Israel's people and their military. So the settlements where the fighting is going on, Orakim, Sadat, Yad, Mordecai, Kafar, Asa, Beerir, Yatid, and Kisufam. Israel is now evacuating Israeli citizens in the next 24 hours from these locations. So I guess it would be the locations that were further out from the locations who have been taken over by Hamas inside Israel. I guess the Israeli military is not going to take them on. Those citizens who are in control by Hamas are just left on their own. Another sacrifice by Benjamin Netanyahu on the altar of war. So it would be the cities that were further out from the border are to evacuate from that area in the next 24 hours. Israeli military has closed all resorts that are near Lebanon. Poland is sending in planes, multiple planes, including C-130s, to pick up Polish citizens, and they have offered to evacuate Israeli citizens. And they have said to the Israeli government, don't try to attack Polish planes. That would immediately trigger NATO Article 5. And we have this. In Europe, pre-positioned cells are going to bring riots. We see these riots also going on inside the U.S. So these are pre-positioned Muslim cells that are going to begin riots inside. They're doing it inside the U.S. I know I saw yesterday in several locations in New York and in New Jersey. And they are going are in the process of beginning these riots also inside Paris, Marseille, Brussels, London. And the riots are going to be the worst riots ever seen. So I guess they're going to have weapons. So I guess that's going on. Now, New York Prepper is a news source for me. He's a Christian ex-U.S. military. Okay. Now he says, so we have the U.S. right here, Texas, down this way. He says, this afternoon, we have 3 Doomsday planes in the air over America. We have them in Montana, Louisiana, and in the Atlantic Ocean along the East Coast. Doomsday planes are put in the air when you want to, and these planes have the capability of launching nukes from other planes, from subs, and other weapons. So that happened this afternoon. And he also reports the U.S. has sent many warships to the Mediterranean Sea, including the Gerald Ford, and he gave a list. I'll link his video of about 7 to 10 ships being sent there. And Iran has said, all right, so Iran is this is the report I gave. Iran is sending generals and troops to Lebanon. Hezbollah is already inside Israel. Israel is sending the Quds force north to come against the Hezbollah. And now we know also Iran. And this is new information that Syria preps to also invade Israel. Now, inside Syria are American U.S. military. So God only knows what's going on in Syria. So that's going on. So a short prayer. I'll read the Psalms 122. I was glad when they said unto me, let us go into the house of the Lord. Our feet shall stand within your gates, O Jerusalem. Jerusalem is builded as a city that is compact together, where the tribes go up, the tribes of the Lord, to the testimony of Israel, to give thanks unto the name of the Lord. For there are set thrones of judgment, the thrones of the house of David. Pray for the peace of Jerusalem. They shall prosper that love you. Peace be within your walls and prosperity within your palaces. For my brothers and companions' sake, I will now say, peace be within you. Because of the house of the Lord our God, I will seek your good. And we pray for the peace of Israel and Jerusalem and for all peoples upon the earth. And we say thank you, God the Father, Jehovah, and God the Son, Jesus, whom many call Yeshua, and God the Holy Spirit. I say to my family and friends, remain steady out there. Continue to pray. It's good to remember God is in charge and He is on the move. I love you, and I'll see you soon.